So today we're going to move on to evaluating functions. So the first thing that you need to know is that when you see f parenthesis x, the way to read this is f of x. It's not f times x, f of x, and it basically means the output when x is the input. F of x and y equals are the same thing. So for example, if you see y equals 3x plus 5 and f of x equals 3x plus 5, just a different way of writing the equation. So in general, f of x is equal to y. So you could think of one as like a nickname for the other. This will be really helpful when we move on to graphs tomorrow. So we'll do some examples together. So if g of x equals 3x squared minus 5, evaluate g of negative 1. So that just means plug in negative 1 for every x. And I also forgot to mention, it is important that you write the words for the examples at least just on this page, so that way when you go back to study, you remember what everything means. So g of negative 1 equals 3 times negative 1 squared minus 5. This side just stays the same. It's just like notation on the left side. You are not doing anything with it. And then you're simplifying on the right side. So remember, GEMDAS exponents comes before multiplication. So you would do 3 times negative 1 squared, which is positive 1, minus 5. So g of negative 1 equals 3 times 1, which is 3, minus 5. So g of negative 1 equals negative 2. So basically this means that when negative 1 is input, negative 2 is the output. You could also say that when x is negative 1, y is negative 2, because remember, x is input, y is output. So this whole thing is your final answer. The left side just stays g of negative 1, the right side becomes negative 2. So in a few minutes, you'll go back and do some more of these, but I also just want to go over with you number 2 and 4. So r of x, again, these functions can have any letter as the name, any letter as the input. Basically, just remember whatever's inside is input. So here we're plugging in negative 4 for every x. So r of negative 4 equals the absolute value of negative 4 minus 4 plus 3. So r of negative 4 equals the absolute value of negative 8 plus 3. The left side still just stays the same. R of negative 4 equals absolute value, always make it positive. So this becomes 8 plus 3. So our final statement, r of negative 4 equals 11. And this is a short way of saying the output when negative 4 is the input is 11. Or you could say when negative 4 is input, 11 comes out. Number 4 is also an interesting one because you're plugging in 3 for x. So n of 3 equals 3 over 3 minus 3. So n of 3 equals 3 over 0. Interesting case here. When you have a number divided by 0, you could think of it in 2 ways. So you could think of it as you have 3 items, maybe $3, to share between 0 people. You really don't know what's happening to that $3. Are you keeping it? Are you putting it in the bank? Is it staying on the floor? We don't know, so we call it undefined. Another way that you could think of it as is that you have like 0 people and they're trying to carry 3 boxes. But if there's 0 people down here to carry them, they can't stay in thin air, they would fall down. So it's not possible for 0 people to carry 3 boxes, so that would be undefined. This is different from 0 over 3, which would be like, 3 little people trying to carry 0 boxes. That's totally fine. It would just be each one is carrying 0 weight. Or you have $0 to give to 3 people, everybody gets $0. This is different from when 0 is on the bottom. So if 0 is in the denominator of the fraction, like number 4, it is undefined. So I'd like you to pause the video, go back and try B, 1, and 3, and then check your answers. So if anything here didn't make sense, please make sure that you either rewind the video, rewatch it, or come ask me, and I will gladly help you. And also, if you don't get these right, also make sure that you're asking, so that way we can help you find your mistakes before you move on. So G of 2, when you figured this one out, it should be 7. So if you're not getting that, please let me know. And again, pause the video before you try them. F of negative 7 should be 25. And M of 12 should be half of 12 is 6 plus 3 is 9. So I did not show all the work because I want you to show the work and show me that you understand how to do these. Also, just a reminder that on Friday we will have a very mini 10 problem, 10 minute, less than 10 minute mini quiz on this topic, as well as what we said last week and tomorrow's mini topic. So after this, you're going to turn to pages 11 and 12. That's your classwork for today. Your homework will be pages 13 and 14. So some of these in the classwork, I just want to go over like a little bit of reminders. Just checking them over. So one, like for example, number 8, this means negative 2 times the absolute value of negative n. So I'll do this one with you. So W of negative 5 means plug in negative 5 for n. So n becomes negative 5. We're going to put a negative 5 in for the n. So this is negative 2 absolute value. There's already a negative sign there, and we're plugging in negative 5. So we'll simplify one piece at a time. The left side just stays W of negative 5 equals negative 2 absolute value. Negative becomes positive. And then what this means, absolute value is always positive. So basically, if there's no operation between them, this just means multiply negative 2 times 5. So W of negative 5 is equal to negative 10. Basically, when x is negative 5, you don't have to write this for every problem, but just so you know, x is negative 5, y is negative 10. Also, we can do number 10 together. So when you're plugging in negative 1, k of negative 1 equals negative 1 cubed plus 4 minus 2 times negative 1. Left side just stays it as notation. Negative 1 cubed means negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1. So if you have a negative 1 times itself 3 times, 2 of them make a positive, left over would be a negative. Plus 4, negative times negative is positive 2. So your final answer would be k of negative 1 equals 3 plus 2, which is 5. So your classwork will be finished pages 11 and 12, and then your homework will be page 13 and 14. Just making sure there's nothing else too tricky on here. I don't think there is. So again, if you have questions as you're working, please just ask, and have a great day.